Hi, I'm Bob, and I'm here to help you install your windshield today. This is the SS30 series mount kit used on the SS30 Custom Classic and the SS32 Falcon. Included in the kit is a long front strap, two short straps, a left and a right pivot bracket, two male clamps, two female clamps, two thin gaskets, and two thick gaskets. Also included in the screw kit are 13 acorn nuts, 6 lock washers, 13 flat washers, 9 5/8 inch bolts, and 4 3/4 inch bolts. We have 3 different types of mount systems to fit different bike forks. This one here, the standard fork, fits 35 millimeter to 41 millimeter diameter fork tubes. The Upsized is the oversized version, which fits 45 to 54 millimeter straight tubes. And then we have the tapered setup. The tapered setup, at the top of the taper is 2 1/8 diameter, going down 4 inches to 2 3/4 inch diameter. As you can see by this model here, it's a cone-shaped fork tube that's popular on the Yamaha V-Stars Classics, the Vulcan Classics from Kawasaki, and the Honda Shadow series. As you can see with the taper, it's narrower at the top than at the bottom, which gives a nice, tight, snug fit without crushing the fork tube covers. First thing we're going to do today is we're going to put on the front strap system. For ease of explanation, we're going to name the holes going horizontally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So to start with, we take our long strap, be sure you've got the bright side out, line it up with hole number 3, or the center hole. Put through your bolt. On the back side, put a flat washer against the rubber grommet and an acorn nut. Do not tighten at this time. We will do the same things with hole 1 and hole 5. At this point, it's time to put on the short strap. As you can see on the short strap, there is a step up on it. Make sure that the step goes over the top so it lines up correctly. Then put one of the longer of the 4 bolts through. Repeat on hole number 7. And again on holes 4 and 6. We don't need to put the acorn nut on at this time, so at this point we'll set the shield aside until we're ready to put it on the bike. Okay, as I mentioned before, there's 2 different thickness rubbers. Now it all depends on what bike you're working on which thickness of rubber and which clamp you use. For this application, we're going to be using the oversized clamp system with the thin rubber. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we'll put the rubber around the fork tube. For right now, we're just going to kind of put it about 1 inch from the top. We may have to adjust it later. One tip I like to give people is to have a little duct tape to hold the rubber in place. It just makes it simpler for when we do the installation. What we do then is we take the male and the female clamp. Now remember, when this clamp is put on, the flat of the male piece will be on the outside of the clamp like this. Now the clamp interlocks. So what you'll do is you'll put the female on the inside, you'll push the male underneath, and interlock it in the back. Now the clamp itself is set up at kind of a universal position. So depending on the fork tube, you may have to realign the center holes. For this, I use basically a Phillips head screwdriver to put through the male clamp into the female, and then I'll crank it until they line up. Now another tip is, and this is especially important on the tapered, is the clamp will gain a memory just from being put together. So a lot of times I'll suggest for people on the center hole to put a bolt through and then tighten it on the back side with an acorn nut completely and let it sit for about 10 to 15 minutes to gain a memory. It'll make installation that much easier. Once the clamp is together, you'll put the pivot bracket with the L on the pivot pointing towards the middle of the bike. You'll line it with the 3 slots that are on the clamps. Once that's in place, put a bolt through and assemble on the back side with a flat washer, a lock washer, and an acorn nut. Just get it started. Do not tighten at this time. Repeat that on the other holes as well. Now that the clamp is put in place and it's parallel with the fork tube, we'll go to the other side and do the same thing there. What makes us different than any of our competitors is that our pivot bracket allows full pivotability of the windshield, so you can put it at any angle in which you would like. We'll do that once we get the shield on for the final adjustment. It's time to put the shield onto the brackets. Now remember, we left all the brackets loose to begin with for a couple reasons. Number one is to change the ability to pivot the shield once you get it in place, but also when you go to put the shield on, if the brackets are too high or too low, you can still move them up and down. In this case, we've got them just about the right spot. So what we're going to do is we're going to line up the threads from the bolts on holes 2, 4, 6, and 7. Once it's lined up, you'll put a flat washer and an acorn nut to hold the shield in place. Repeat that on the other holes as well. Okay, at this point, we're going to make the adjustments on the windshield for the angle and also the positioning with the headlight. Of course, we want equal distance around the headlight with the headlight cut out of the windshield to make it look proper. So the best way to do it is basically take our clamp that we left loose and twist it until we get the equal distance around the headlight. Once that's in place, then we can change the angle of the shield in which we want the correct position. For a cruiser bike, the ideal position is halfway between straight up and down and in line with the forks. So for us, we're going to put it right about at this position. Okay, with the shield position and the angle in place, now we want to start tightening the bolts. The 4 bolts we start with are holes 2, 4, 6, and 7. We do that because we've got to get the alignment set up between the short front straps and the pivot bracket in the back. So what we will do is we'll line them up first, doing the top one, then tightening that one in place. So with the 7/16 wrench, we'll put it around the nut in the back and we'll tighten up the top. Now that that's done, we can tighten 1, 3, and 5 in place. Now the shield is tightened up against the pivot brackets. At this point, we'll double check the angle in which we want the shield at, and then we'll tighten the pivot brackets. There's 3 bolts on each side. Start with the top one first because it's the easiest, and it'll hold the shield in place. And then we can move down to the next ones. Okay, everything's tightened up. Now it's ready to ride. But before we go, I'd like to let you know that this mounting system can be upgraded to a quick release system with our new SS30 QR kit, which is available from us through your local Slipstreamer dealers or online retailers. Enjoy the ride. Hi, after your shield's all on, you're out riding, get a few bugs on it, you can clean it all up with the Slipstreamer motorcycle windshield cleaner polish. And remember, it's just as important on what you wipe it off with. Only use 100% cotton cloth or a microfiber towel. I tell you what we use here in the shop, baby diapers. Nothing works better.